Welcome to another episode of the Weekly Wrap with HealthCap. This is your go-to podcast for the latest news shaping senior living communities. Whether you're commuting, grabbing a coffee, or catching your breath during a busy day, we're really glad you're here.
This week, we've got a lineup that takes you through challenges, heartwarming moments, and critical updates impacting senior living communities. So, let's get started.
Let's start in Southern California, where wildfires have deeply impacted senior living communities. According to McKnight's Senior Living, several communities faced immense challenges protecting residents during these natural disasters.
I mean, think about it. Staff had to mobilize quickly, ensuring residents were evacuated safely and temporarily housed in shelters. And this isn't just moving people. We're talking about dozens of residents who rely on mobility aids, oxygen tanks, and other medical equipment. It's a huge undertaking.
Yeah, it's definitely daunting, but it really shows the power of preparation. Communities with solid emergency plans were able to act swiftly, minimizing disruptions and making sure residents were taken care of.
And the staff, wow, they worked tirelessly to keep everyone calm, fed, and comfortable despite the chaos. If you're listening and you haven't reviewed your emergency preparedness plan in a while, now might be a good time to take a look.
Right. And HealthCap is putting its final touches on our updated emergency preparedness manual. It should be released next week, so you'll want to keep an eye out for it.
But, what's really inspiring is how people came together. Staff worked overtime, volunteers stepped in to help, and neighboring communities offered support. It's just heartening to see, right? One administrator even mentioned their team stayed overnight to ensure continuity of care. That kind of dedication is just incredible.
It really is. Let's talk about an issue that doesn't always make headlines, but can cause major disruptions in senior living communities: norovirus outbreaks. HealthCap's new norovirus toolkit is a must-have resource for tackling this common but highly contagious virus.
Right, and norovirus isn't just your run-of-the-mill stomach bug. It spreads like wildfire in communal settings and can lead to significant illness among residents and staff. The toolkit focuses on prevention and response strategies to minimize the impact.
Absolutely. One of the key points it highlights is how quickly norovirus can spread through contaminated surfaces, food, or even person-to-person contact. Hand hygiene is critical, but the toolkit also emphasizes the importance of proper cleaning protocols using EPA-approved disinfectants.
Exactly, and they also talk about what to do when an outbreak occurs. Clear communication is key, ensuring that staff know how to identify symptoms, isolate infected residents, and follow containment procedures. These steps can make a big difference in stopping the spread.
Totally. They even recommend setting up outbreak response teams who are trained to handle situations like this. It's about being proactive and prepared so that when something happens, the team knows exactly what to do.
And another section I found really helpful was about educating residents and their families. Sometimes just sharing the basics about how norovirus spreads and what precautions are in place can go a long way in reducing panic and promoting cooperation.
So true, and the toolkit doesn't stop there. It also includes sample policies, cleaning checklists, and even communication templates to help communities respond effectively. It's a comprehensive resource that any senior living community would benefit from.
If you're dealing with or worried about norovirus, this toolkit is a game changer. Prevention and preparation are always better than scrambling to respond after an outbreak starts. Shifting to something a little lighter, over in Mount Carmel, Indiana, there's this super heartwarming story. Residents at an assisted living community woke up to dozens of snowmen built right outside their windows. Volunteers braved the cold to make these frosty little friends, complete with scarves, hats, and cheerful smiles.
Oh, wow. Can you just imagine the delight of waking up and seeing that?
One resident even said it reminded them of building snowmen with their kids decades ago. It's these moments of nostalgia that really bring warmth during the coldest days.
And the community shared pictures online, which just went viral. People across the country were loving it, showing how something so small can have such a big impact.
Right, and it's such a great example of fostering a sense of community and creativity, especially during the winter months when isolation can be more acute.
Maybe this will inspire you to come up with ways to, surprise and delight your residents. It doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes the simplest ideas, they're the ones that make the biggest smiles. So, switching gears a bit, McKnight's Senior Living recently highlighted this arts-based training program. It's aimed at promoting empathy among staff.
The program uses creative exercises like role playing and storytelling to help caregivers better understand the emotions and experiences of their residents. The idea is to step into someone else's shoes, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, and it's not just about technical skills. This kind of training is about building real, genuine connections. One participant shared how the program helped them see their residents as individuals with unique histories and needs, not just focusing on tasks.
Yeah, and another mentioned how role playing opened their eyes to the daily challenges residents face. Things like mobility struggles or the frustration of memory loss.
Right, and the results? They've been amazing. Communities that have adopted this approach report better relationships between staff and residents, higher job satisfaction among caregivers, and even improvements in overall resident well-being. It's really a win-win. If your community hasn't explored something like this yet, it might be worth looking into. So let's talk about some fascinating research from SciPost. They recently reported that researchers have identified subtle, everyday behaviors that might signal early Alzheimer's risk. One example they gave was changes in gait, the way a person walks, and even handwriting.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about. Like, we've all seen someone's handwriting change a bit over time, but to realize that could be connected to cognitive health, it's kind of mind-blowing, right? And gait, I mean, who would have thought that something so simple could be an early warning sign?
Exactly. It's subtle stuff that you might not notice day to day, but when you take a step back and look at the bigger picture, these changes can provide clues long before more obvious symptoms appear. The researchers are saying this could lead to earlier interventions, which honestly could make a huge difference in care.
Yeah, because let's face it, early diagnosis is key, isn't it? It gives families and caregivers more time to prepare and put supports in place. But I guess the tricky part is noticing these signs early enough. Like, who's really paying attention to how someone's walking or how their handwriting looks?
Good point. It's probably something caregivers or close family members might pick up on first. But even then, it's easy to brush off as, just normal aging. That's why this research is so important. It's giving us more tools to spot potential issues earlier and take action. This also ties into broader conversations about how we train caregivers and educate families. If more people understand what to look for, then we can all be a little more proactive. I mean, it's not about alarming people, it's about empowering them with knowledge.
Exactly. And I think what's exciting here is the potential for practical applications down the line. Imagine having tools or even wearable devices that could monitor things like gait patterns or hand movements and flag changes automatically. That could be a game changer for early detection.
Totally. So, for everyone listening, this might be a good time to just take a closer look at those little everyday behaviors. It's not about diagnosing anyone, but if something seems off, don't hesitate to bring it up with a healthcare professional. Early intervention really does make all the difference.
Let's talk about a fascinating update from CU Anschutz Medical Campus. Researchers there are tackling a big challenge in dementia care, the early diagnosis of dementia with Lewy bodies.
Yeah, and this is a really tough one to spot, isn't it? I mean, dementia with Lewy bodies often gets misdiagnosed as either Alzheimer's or Parkinson's. The symptoms overlap so much that even experienced clinicians can struggle.
Exactly, and that's why this research is so exciting. They're exploring comprehensive cognitive testing as a way to improve early detection. The idea is to use detailed, targeted tests that can pick up on subtle differences between dementia types.
Which is honestly kind of amazing. Because when you think about it, getting the right diagnosis early on can make such a huge difference. Families can plan better, care strategies can be tailored, and treatments can be started earlier.
Totally. And what stood out to me is how much this could change things for caregivers, too. I mean, when you know exactly what you're dealing with, you're not just reacting to symptoms. You're proactively addressing the specific needs of the person you're caring for.
Right, and they're also talking about how this could lead to better clinical trials, Like, if you can identify people earlier and more accurately, you're going to get better data on how treatments work. It's a win-win for everyone involved.
Yeah, and for the residents, it's about quality of life, isn't it? If you're misdiagnosed, you might end up on treatments that don't really help, or worse, cause side effects that make things harder. Getting it right means better outcomes and, honestly, more peace of mind for everyone.
Absolutely. I think this research highlights how much progress we're making in understanding these complex conditions. It's not just about diagnosing earlier, it's about diagnosing better. And that can only lead to more effective care and support.
So, if you're listening and you're in a position to advocate for more comprehensive testing for your residents or loved ones, this is definitely something to keep an eye on. Early, accurate diagnosis can truly change lives.
So, with winter in full swing, let's talk about something that often gets overlooked: how cold weather can impact people living with Alzheimer's or dementia. CBS 42 out of Central Alabama recently shared some insights on this, and honestly, it's eye-opening.
Yeah, and it's not just about keeping warm, right? There are a lot of factors to think about. For one, cold weather can actually increase confusion for people with dementia. Imagine already feeling disoriented, and then you add freezing temperatures and icy conditions to the mix.
Exactly. And that confusion can lead to other risks, like wandering. If a resident gets outside without proper supervision, even for a few minutes, the cold can pose serious dangers. It's why communities really need to step up monitoring during the winter months.
Right. And it's not just wandering either. Falls become a much bigger concern when there's ice and snow around. I mean, we're always focused on fall prevention, but winter adds this extra layer of complexity, literally. Keeping pathways clear and properly salted is a must.
Totally, and hydration is another big one, isn't it? People tend to drink less water when it's cold, but dehydration can actually worsen confusion and other dementia symptoms. So, making sure residents are drinking enough is crucial, even if it doesn't feel like a priority in winter.
Absolutely. And then there's the emotional side of things. Winter can be isolating, like if residents can't go outside or if family visits decrease because of bad weather. That isolation can lead to increased anxiety or even depression, which, as we know, can exacerbate dementia symptoms.
Yeah, and I think this is where activities come in. Communities can do so much to create a warm, engaging atmosphere indoors, whether it's cozy group activities, music therapy, or even just making sure the environment feels cheerful and inviting.
For sure, it's really about taking a holistic approach. Winter weather might bring extra challenges, but with some planning and attention to detail, we can help residents stay safe, comfortable, and connected.
So take a moment to think about how you can prepare your community or even your own family for the winter months. A little extra care can make all the difference. And that wraps up this week's HealthCap Weekly Wrap. We hope you found the stories and updates helpful as you navigate the challenges and opportunities in senior living.
Most of the country has seen record cold this past week, so we hope you're staying warm, cozy, and safe. Whether it's a cup of hot cocoa or a roaring fireplace, take some time to recharge. You've earned it.
Also, if you want to dive deeper into any of these stories, you can read all about them on Angie's blog on the HealthCap website at healthcapusa.com/Angie's-blog. It's a great resource with even more insights and updates.
Thanks for tuning in, and as always, we appreciate everything you do to support your residents and communities. Until next week, take care and stay informed.